Welcome, everybody, to the N-Word for Nerd podcast. As always, we're going to jump right into it. Our top list. Today, we're doing top 3 movie franchises. And I will this time start with Jaren, and we'll make our way around. Jaren, what is your number 3 movie franchise?
Number 3. Let me pull up my notes because I wanted to. Oh, yeah. Number 3 is going to be, for me, Batman. And not because of that bullshit in the middle with when that director made Gotham City look like some cheap target art woman with all the neon and everything. But the beginning of it, and then more importantly, the end of it, minus the last one. But yeah, Batman for sure. I think.
So you're taking all IPs in your movie franchises.
Yeah, I mean, were we breaking it down?
I broke it.
Oh no, I mean it's whatever you wanted it to be.
Granularly.
I was breaking it down, but I'm letting it go because
that's why I didn't pick Batman because I was like, the DCAU sucks, so I can't do that.
But these are specific Batman movies, so they would be like Batman Returns, and then the shitty 3 that followed it, and then the Nolan trilogy. I mean, if I had to nail it down, though, I'd say the Nolan trilogy would be my number 3 franchise.
Okay.
2 great ones and 1 bad one where he was fighting in the middle of daylight. Fist fighting in a fucking street. That's how Batman dies, by the way. Is if you have a man in that outfit, you put him in the middle of a fucking riot and give him his fists. That's how Batman dies.
Yeah, but all the cops are also fist fighting, so they wouldn't.
Yeah, but they're also going for Batman. I
mean, everybody's awesome too. Yeah, because that's why definitely Batman can't be black, because they'd be like, "Oh shit, bam! Oh shit, he was on our side. Oh crap!"
And that's why Fox covers his mouth for his uniform.
Yeah, that's why.
Go ahead, Jason. What is your number 3?
So I had a toss-up between the Lord of the Rings franchise and Harry Potter, but I'm going to go with Harry Potter because as a whole, that movie franchise is really, really good, even down to the last movie. So out of 7 movies, you got, 5 solid ones. So Harry Potter. And, I would have gone with Lord of the Rings, but then I would have to add on The Hobbit. And I was like, nah, we can't do it with The Hobbit. So it's got to be Harry Potter.
Look, man, I literally had that discussion today, and I said I cannot. As much I love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is my favorite trilogy of all time.
Yeah,
but if we're doing franchises, The Hobbit has to be included, and I cannot bring myself
to include
The Hobbit.
I just couldn't bring it over. I was like, okay, we just got to go with Harry Potter. Even though I could, J.K. Rowling, I don't want to give her any more money, but Harry Potter's still great.
So my number 3 is going to be the Captain America trilogy. I think, Winter Soldier is my favorite out of it. First Avenger, I enjoyed, but I'm a huge fan of the Rocketeer as well. So it gave me those vibes. And Civil War, which is my least favorite of the 3, I know that's hard to believe, but I still enjoyed the fact of what it was and the fact that we got to see all these heroes in this basically kids picking up toys and smashing them together scene in the airport. So I went with the Captain America trilogy. Now, this could be all fucked up by Captain America 4, but right now I'm keeping it as my number 3 movie franchise right now.
See, when we said franchises, I thought franchises.
MCU. You thought MCU.
Yeah, so, we'll get to this in just a second, but Jaren, go ahead.
All right, well, funny enough, my number 2 is MCU, but in parentheses, it does say Captain America. Although I put it in a different order, it'd be Winter Soldier, then it would be Civil War, and then the first Captain America would be my least favorite of the 3. But I think the last 2 are more watchable, just over and over and over and over again. But yeah, I had MCU, parentheses, Captain America. Because, I'm an Iron Man guy, but no, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 3 is great. Iron Man 2
I like Iron Man.
It ends with them getting they thought it was necessary for him to take his arc reactor out as a character evolution. That's bullshit.
Because it's 2000 whenever you can get heart surgery. It's easier now than when it was back in 1940 or whatever. It's like there's no reason why you should still have this in your heart, dude. Surgeries for this.
Except the power of the suit. To have that battery on you at all times.
A bad reason to have fatal congenital heart disease. All right.
Oh no, they could have gotten all that shit out, and he could have kept the arc reactor in.
Yeah, he could have kept the arc reactor.
I think he shouldn't have replaced that until he got his head around the nanotech. I think that's when it should have disappeared. When he's like, well, now I can put it into a nanotech thing and just tap it onto my chest and it's good to go. Then I'm like, okay.
My number 2 also is the MCU with not any really specific trilogies or anything, because the whole thing is really, really good. Like, there are some duds in between, but we have how many movies now? Like 20, and like 95% of them are like worth watching over and over again. Yeah. So like as a whole, the MCU is number 2 for me, and it's great. They keep knocking it out of the park. Even now, like every movie they're coming out now has been better than the last. So that's for me.
I love the MCU, and I always hate shitting on the MCU because I feel like there's so much love on it that I have to occasionally just shit on it about it. The only issue I have with the MCU,
you can't let people like things.
Well, you know how it is when people just love something so much, and it's like,
why are you so happy? Stop being so happy.
they get blinded by like what the actuality of what it is versus the like what they have it in their mind.
Far be it for people to enjoy things. You're right.
Right. The MCU, the reason why I say I couldn't put it on it because the MCU, they don't tell complete stories because they know they can wrap it up in the next one. And it bothers me now. This is where it is. Like the phase 1 had real stories, hit or miss of how much we liked them or disliked them. They had beginning, middle, and ends, and it finished. Now we're getting to the point where all these MCU movies now they're just like, hey, we just stopped the villain this time, but all the other conflicts we brought up, you better tune into the next edition of the MCU. See you in November. Like it just bothers me now. Like, and I love them, and I love it. I enjoy the movies, and I'm like, yeah, that was great. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't answer like 5 of these questions. And I know everybody's like, oh, you gotta wait to other movies, and I'm like, well, why? And I guess that brings us to our geek discussion later on about the story matter because. Why do I have to wait to other movies to understand the movie I just paid money for that you brought up, that you mentioned, all in the movie, and then you decided, like, oh, no, other movies, take care of that for. It's like that's my only gripe on it, and I think people always ignore it because we expect the next movie to come in 6 months. So hold on, don't wait. Sorry if you didn't get chances. Like it's just anyway. But I love them, and I don't want to shit on it. That's why I couldn't put them as high as everything else because I feel like. It's a lot of movies in there that just like Age of Ultron is literally the bypass movie to be like, hey, we just need to do some shit so we can do all this other shit later on. So ignore this movie because all the other shit is what's more important than actually this robot. So, but anyway, my number 2 for franchises, which I think goes against it because I guess it would be IPs, but I went Toy Story. Toy Story is my number 2 movie franchise. I don't think it's a bad movie in the bunch. And you could some people will argue that it gets better as it goes up. I wouldn't argue that, but a lot of people would argue it gets better as it goes up. So Toy Story would be my number 2 movie franchise.
All right.
Number 1, Jared.
Brings us to number 1. This franchise, I personally don't think there's a bad one in the bunch.
If you say Ghostbusters, we'll quit today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I could not invoke Ghostbusters.
I was thinking really hard about Ghostbusters, and I was like, I can't put it on the
list. Two was trash, and
2 was awesome. Shut your mouth.
And the girl one was garbage.
Bobby Brown is number 2.
If I could count Ghostbusters the video game, which was written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, and it essentially is Ghostbusters 3, if they had done it. Then I would think about it, but I can't do that as cross-reference. So Back to the Future. 1, 2, and you know what? I know I'm not I might be out in the periphery on this one, but I fucking love 3. And I don't like Westerns that much, but I love 3. So
I fucking love 3 too, man.
Yeah.
3 is great.
Yeah.
2 is best, but 3 is great. Dude's
commercially.
I really still want a hoverboard and flying cars because that was supposed to happen like 5 years ago, according to that movie. But shit. Yeah. I'll fly with Martin McFly.
So that's good.
Well, my number 1, and you guys are going to, clown me on this, but, as a man of a certain age, you know what it is. It's going to be Star Wars. And it's the reason why is because I grew up with it. It's nostalgia. I find something about all the movies. And with everything else with it, it just makes it even more, lovable in my heart, even though the last trilogy was disappointing. But still, I enjoy the movies as a movie, but as a trilogy, it sucked. So, but still, Star Wars is always going to be, high in my heart. So that's my number 1 trilogy or movie franchise.
Right.
You'd write off Lord of the Rings because of the Hobbit movies. but you're not willing to write off Star Wars because of the prequels.
Nope, I'm not. I'm not even willing to write off Star Wars because of the terrible, terrible ending of this last trilogy, which made no sense whatsoever according to the story that they were trying to present, because they didn't have a fucking plan. They didn't know what they were doing, and it was all fucked up because they let 3 different people, or like 2 different people, write 3 different movies. But still, spaceships and laser swords, I fucks with it.
Yeah, fuck it. Just make one of them a Skywalker, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, we'll call it a day. Who gives a shit?
I battled with Star Wars, but I think it's too many duds in there for to be my number one or make my list. My number one is, and I feel like there's only one really bad movie in it. It's the Rocky and Creed franchise. I feel like Rocky 5 is the only really shitstorm in it. All the other ones are enjoyable, fun. I mean, the first one's a classic. 2 through 4 are really, really fucking fun. We act like we ignore 5. Creed was a really good way to bring it back and be good. Creed 2 is okay, but you bring back Drago. So Creed is Creed, the Rocky and Creed 6. Oh, one with Mason Dixon line. I like John Rocky 6. I didn't think it was bad. Everybody else was like, "Oh, this is so unbelievable." And I said, "You really thought that white dude was going to beat Apollo Creed? You believe that, but you think this part is unbelievable? Stop it." So, yeah, I love Mason Dixon line. That's all of my alleys. So yes, Rocky and Creed are mine. Just because, again, like I said, I can watch any of those except for 5. Please, I feel like I treat 5 like Crystal Skull, where I just pretend like it just never happened. Like 5 never happened because he never did technically fight in the ring in 5. So for me, if Rocky don't get in the ring, it never happened. It's not a real fight.
Well, he doesn't get in the ring in Creed.
He is. He's on the ring apron in Creed. He gets in the ring to wipe him off and stuff. He's in the ring for both of those. He steps in the ring. I guess technically the same thing for 5. He does step in the ring for Tommy, but fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude in real life, man. That dude was a piece of shit in real life too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a professional boxer that just did steroids and all sorts of terrible, terrible things.
So just a professional boxer.
Yeah, he's Mike Tyson.
Well, everybody, thank you for listening to our top 3 movie franchise list. If you guys have a different list, please let us know in the comments. Please, before we start all this officially, remember to like, share, subscribe. Tell us what you think. Tell us if we forgot a key franchise, which I know some Indiana Jones people are going to basically shut off this and tell us go fuck ourselves because Indiana Jones did not make it. But Crystal Skull does exist, guys. Crystal Skull does exist.
And they're making like another one too. And, it's not.
And that one will exist too. And it's probably going to be bad as well. So.
He got injured. That dude got injured on it. That's what I
My
heard.
favorite's always going to be Temple of Doom, though, which is going to make a lot of people mad.
That's my favorite too.
Like Doom,
Jason, it's great that we have Jaren here because me and you agree too much about some of this stuff.
I like Temple of Doom a lot.
I thought we've had this discussion before. I thought you enjoyed Last Crusade or Raiders more.
Alex, you had that conversation.
Okay. Okay. That makes more
sense. We're a bunch of
Temple
of Doom fans, so obviously our nerd credit's out of the window.
But also, also like you have franchises like Terminator that you had to call. I had to immediately get rid of because even though 1 and 2 were brilliant, all of the rest that followed kind of takes it out of the running for best.
Yeah. Same thing with Aliens. Alien 1 and 2, Alien and Aliens classics. 3 is okay, but once you get to Resurrection, it's just a firestorm.
Prometheus and all that garbage.
Predator 1, great. Predator 2 with Daniel Geller, even better.
Yeah.
We're not going to go that far. Welcome to the N-Word for Nerd podcast, guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm here with my favorite people in the world outside of my wife and my children because, my wife would kill me. Starting up always, we have the Duke of Nerds, Jason number A. We have Jason. What is going on with you, Jason?
Nothing. You guys are my favorite people in the world, too, except for all my friends and family and everybody else I like.
I'll take it. Number 27th best, I'll take it.
Top 50.
Top 50. Yeah, even better. And we're here with Token, the token white guy, the token, because he answers all our questions and makes sure that we stay on track. We have Jaren here. What's going on, Jaren?
What's happening? You guys are also my favorite people, except for Jason's wife as well. So.
Glad I could make the top 3. That's all I care about. As always, we're going to jump right into our segment that we do every single week. We have Geek and Nerd News. So starting off here, we have Xbox Game Pass is trying to be placed directly in TVs going forward. Jaron, I know you've talked very vehemently about Game Pass and all the beautifulness of it. I already know you would buy the TV, but do you think this is a good move for Xbox?
It's interesting. Xbox, what they're doing with this. You can play Xbox Series X games on your iPhone now because it's all the processing's done, off the device and then streamed to it. So you're essentially, when we get to the point where we have our network latency is such that that'll be something that we can actually do without drops where you feel like your button inputs aren't actually matching what's happening on the screen. Yeah, Microsoft seems to always have the best ideas from 5 years from now, and then they try to do it today. Kind of like when they launched the Xbox One, and they were like, "Hey guys, all digital." That's becoming a reality fast, but 7 years ago, people were like, "The fuck? No, I want my disc, thank you." And Sony took quite a leap ahead of them as a result. So yeah.
All right. Well, Nintendo's releasing a Game & Watch, which they did one already for Super Mario Brothers, but now they're doing one for The Legend of Zelda. Jason, as you being a Zelda guy, are you going to get it? What's up, man?
I'm not going to buy this. It's like I played, Zelda 1. It's got Zelda 2 on it, which yuck. And then also it's got a port of a Game Boy game. It's like I'm not one of those Nintendo fanboys who just buys everything Nintendo. I'm looking at you, Jaron.
It is good. That's 100% me. I'm a whore for Nintendo. No question.
So it's not something that's on my radar. But, for those people who just have to have things that are made by Nintendo, spend your money. It's fine. You're fine.
Spend your money. It's fine. All right. Microsoft announces Windows 11. No release date currently pictured there. But anybody excited about Windows 11? Jaron, you?
Windows 10 is fine. It's a great operating system at the moment. But I just read something that Microsoft took a big jump forward in their NVMe, SSD technology, and that they were not going to make it supported by Windows 10. So it's only going to be supported by Windows 11, which I think is shitty. So Microsoft being Microsoft. But no, I think Windows 10 is fine at the moment. Obviously, when they sunset it and all the security updates stop coming, then make the move. But Windows 10 is only what,
10 years old?
6? Is it 10? Is it 10 years old? It
came out a while ago.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Fair enough. It's a stable.
So go ahead, Jan.
It's so anytime a new OS has come out, they're always they're never stress tested to the point where everybody's using them in every different configuration with every different bit of software on them. So there's always issues, and there's going to be issues, and then they're going to have to patch them up. I never recommend grabbing a new OS from any of them, be it Microsoft or the newest Mac OS. Just give it a year in, and then jump onto it, because you might end up jumping early and then ending up with Vista, and that sucks.
All right. We had trailers drop for Shang-Chi and for Halloween Kills. Let's start with you. Jaron. What are your thoughts on the Shang-Chi trailer?
I cannot wait for this movie. This movie looks fantastic. I love the way that the 10 rings actually work. And that how they show them off in the fights and everything in this. I'm guessing that everybody on the internet's losing their mind over the idea that it was the Abomination versus possibly Wong, but probably just another follower of the magical ways at the end.
Another Asian guy.
Yeah, it was a distance shot. I didn't realize, but I asked some people, I didn't realize that Abomination looked like that in the comics with his fins and all that kind of aquatic.
Yeah, people you asked me.
Yeah, I think, we talked about it. I also talked to Alex about it, but apparently that is a normal thing. So I was like, oh, okay.
All right, Halloween Kills, the next in the Halloween series, I guess from the reboot from the last Halloween. Jason, any thoughts on that? Seen the trailer? Enjoy the trailer? Hate the trailer? What do you thought?
I enjoyed the last Halloween movie because it did like retcon a lot of stupid shit that happened in that series. So as long as they keep the heart going, then I'm all for it. I'm here. I'll watch it because I don't normally like to watch scary movies, but Halloween isn't that scary because it's just a dude in a mask who just kills people. I'll be there for that. I'll be there for that. I'm gonna watch it on DVD though. I'm not gonna watch it in the theater.
I love the whole premise of it because it's like, hey, this town, this menacing serial path psycho killer, let's all join together and kick his ass. I feel like every horror movie now has to do that now. Like, you can't excuse it now. Like, if it's a
like, why are
person,
y'all have been so dumb for the past 30 years?
Right,
let's figure this shit out.
Let's join together and let's take care of this fool. So yes, that's coming on. Also, we just got an announcement that Disney's doing some more of the live action movies, for better or worse. The next one up is not the next one up, but one is going to be Snow White. They have cast a young lady by the name of Rachel Ziegler. If I'm getting her name wrong, please just just find out because I can't read this. Whatever. Ziegler or Ziegler, she's been cast as Snow White for this new live action Snow White. I don't feel like we even dignify that with a comment. We can just move right on. Final Fantasy 9.
She's a Native American woman.
Now I'm gonna tell you she's not. So Final Fantasy 9 is getting an animated series. Production will either start the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Jason, are you excited about Final Fantasy 9 being animated for you?
The last Final Fantasy game I played was Final Fantasy 4.
And you enjoyed it so much that you just really want to see Final Fantasy 9 animated?
I mean, I have never been like a hype man behind Final Fantasy ever been since like Final Fantasy 7 came out. Everybody's like, it's the best game ever. And I'm like, it's a JRPG. I'm not. I much rather go and play something else. And I much rather go watch something else. So I'm sorry, you're Final Fantasy fans out there. I don't give a shit about Final Fantasy.
Going forward from that, Transformers 7 has been announced. It is going to be Rise of the Beast from the people who are making Bumblebee. Supposedly, this is going to take place, I believe, 7 years after Bumblebee. Jaron, I know how you are with animation technology, and we've argued about Transformers over and over again. Your thoughts, expectations, and excitement level.
Can anybody be excited about a Transformers movie these days? I don't. I think they've. Yeah, no. I mean, it's this one's following Beast Wars. So we're going to see more dinosaurs. So
let's hope not.
There were monkeys in Beast Wars and cheetahs
and like beetles.
Yeah, Optimus Primal.
Yeah, bugs. There was only one. There's two dinosaurs. There was Megatron was a dinosaur, and there was a raptor one. I can't remember his name. I think it was like Raptor X. I don't fucking know. Right. Groundbreaking TV show, by the way.
Yes, Beast Wars, amazing.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I know at least I'll watch it. I'll watch it because of the visual effects. But I'm not going there hoping that it's going to be like Schindler's List style writing or anything like stick with you forever.
Right.
Ever since Bumblebee, I'm just wondering when are these people going to fuck one of these robots?
It's probably already happened. So it's already that's supposed to be the
same what Wiki did in the second one.
Yeah, he did.
Like a hot girl. Just for no reason.
Yeah, June 24th, 2022 is when it's supposed to be released. Eli Roth has finished production on the Borderlands movie, and I guess everybody's getting an early look at Claptrap, and this is expected to be released in 2022. Jason, thoughts on this? Excited? Yeah.
I am excited about it, but the one gripe I have is they should not have replaced the voice actor of Claptrap with Jack Black. That's I'm sure Jack Black's probably going to do a great job, but like whoever did the voice acting for Claptrap in the games, they should just kept him because he's perfect. He's the right amount of annoying. He's great, and like you're just going to be like, oh, that's just Jack Black being Jack Black. It's not going to be Claptrap. So, yeah. But other than that, I'm down for it. Eli Roth's a good film director. I'm down for it, but that's my only gripe.
Right.
Hopefully they tune Jack Black's voice up a bit. Hopefully they because Claptrap is a high pitch. like they put it through a mechanical filter or whatever.
They're not gonna do that. It's gonna be Jack Black's voice. He's gonna be like, singing and
Okay.
stuff.
Yeah, I hope.
Okay, all right. I was trying to leave time in this segment for you all to like nerd out. We're going to stay on track here because the last one I don't care about, but I know you guys care about way more than I do. So I guess in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe, the Kelvin universe, they are going to cast Picard in the movies. You two, I'm just going to give you guys the floor to talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about in regards to this because I don't really care. So have at it, guys.
So me and Jaron already talked about this a lot before you got back from your restroom break. I'm all for them recasting Tom Hardy as Picard if they were to do that and give him another chance because he already did it once when he was like 25 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like even though he was in a shitty movie and was given nothing to do and people hated on him, it's Tom fucking Hardy. Like give him. He was already great then. He's gonna just be so much better now, and he's also has a British accent too. So, like, I'm for it as long as they cast Tom Hardy. If they cast some fucking Henry Cavill, I'm gonna riot.
This is going to be interesting because this is you have people that have played different characters, like they're the same character, different actors have played the same character over and over and over again. But these are all the characters that were I don't know, they came from somewhere, right? Like they came from books or they came from comic books or something like that. So they're like an established character that existed, and then actors took up the role. Jean-Luc Picard is from a television show, and from the rip, it was Patrick Stewart. I don't know. Also, I mean, I'd love to see them stick in the normal timeline, but just take all the set designers and DPs and directors from the Kelvin timeline and bring them over, because they make it look a lot better over there. They just lack the character depth and storyline to really sell me on it. So I don't know. We'll see. This is still rumor territory, right?
It's still like kind of easy.
Yeah.
But you know, the funny thing about Picard is they even changed like the way he was written initially. They changed entirely everything about him for Patrick Stewart. I mean, literally, his name is Jean-Luc Picard. He's supposed to be French. Yeah. He's played by this very, very English person, like unabashedly English person. Yeah. So like they're going to have to match that perfectly if they're going to, do it, or they're not, and they're just going to shit on all the things we love, which is probably what they're going to do.
It is the Kelvin Tower.
Just for the novelty people out there, in the regular continuity of it, how far in time is the original to the next generation?
I want to say it's like 80 to 100 years, because in the very first episode, I want to say Bones is still alive, but he's 130 years old.
Oh wow! Oh shit!
So it's a significant amount of time has passed from Kirk to the next generation.
Scotty's still alive too, but he's stuck in a transport buffer.
Yeah, well, he's out of time. That's That's different. Yeah. We don't need to get into
it. Let's just ignore it. All right, really quickly, we're going to do our Loki check-in. Episode 3, I believe we're on now. Yes. Episode 3. My quick notes on the check-in. It was a nice episode. The big reveal of the variants, the time to the TVA agents being former variants, I thought was pretty cool. I felt like this was kind of one of the closest things we're probably going to get to a bottle episode, because they wanted to just do a whole explanation dump and just get it all in there and then settle a bunch of differences and walk away. So I took it what it was. It was kind of I feel like this is the cool off moment before it really ramps up, probably going towards the end. So, Jaron, your thoughts? Episode 3.
I liked it. It started out feeling like a Rick and Morty episode, where there was something very, very big going on for a lot of other people, but they're just going to pop in for something small that they need and fuck right off. But that changed when they busted their temp pad. So all of a sudden, the tension of them not being able to get off that world started to like sink in, and it started to become a little bit more desperate for the characters. And I loved it. It was a phenomenal episode. And I love that it seemed like it started as very little, if nothing, and then got to something significantly more.
All right. Jason, number 8.
I like this episode as well. this show is firing on all cylinders. But I just want to throw out that there's this fan theory that's going on that this whole entire episode has taken place in Loki's head, that she actually did enchant him, and since he's such strong in will, she actually has to, make him, lead him through this whole entire thing to get him to understand her, rather than just directly controlling his mind. So hopefully, that could be it. But if it's not a big deal. It's still a good episode. I don't care. Yeah. So I just want to throw that fan theory out there.
All right. And as always, I guess we're going to start doing Rick and Morty check-ins as the season goes on. Episode 1 of Rick and Morty dropped last Sunday. As like I said on the last recording, we were recording before the episode dropped, so we didn't know what it was. Quickly on the check-in for me, this felt like a return to form for Rick and Morty. I actually felt like season 4 was, especially the first half of season 4, was bullshit. The second half was a little better, but this one felt like something that it could have been in any of the earlier seasons and worked. I can't say enough about this one, and we'll probably, once we get to the end of it, do our full reviews at the end of this, when the season's over. But I love this episode. If this is what this season's going to be like, I'm totally here for it. Jason, number 8, what are your thoughts?
I love this episode too. I love the Prince Namor reference. I can't remember the character's name. What?
Mr. Nimbus.
Mr. Nimbus. Yes, he's the ruler of the sea, and he controls the police. So I guess we have someone to blame. But that's like the B story. The A story is Morty going back and forth, getting wine, and wrecking this civilization. Yeah, it's top notch. I don't want to be one of those Rick and Morty fans like, you just don't understand Rick and Morty. It's just really good writing. It's a really good, clever show. Like, take all the toxic fandom out of it and just enjoy the show for what it is.
All right, Jaron.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of Rick and Morty to date. And yeah, I agree. I love the idea that, I don't want to be gatekeepery about it either. It's just simply, I think somebody put it to me once. They were like, it takes all the tropes of sci-fi that you already know and love that have been well trodden by other franchises and series, and just turns it on its head a little bit. Just takes kind of a thing that you've probably experienced in a Star Wars or a Star Trek or
Doctor Who
natural, and just takes a hard left in it for no reason, and you're like, what the fuck? But if you get the underlying concept, where it carries you is great. So it's I love me some Rick and Morty, and this episode was probably one of my favorites.
Absolutely. All right, we're jumping into what everybody came here to listen to see what we thought, because we are credible sources of intellectual properties, and we do the hard lifting, so you don't have to do it.
We do the hard work.
Let's jump into Fast 9. Jaron, I'm gonna let you go ahead and kick this off. What's your thoughts on Fast 9?
They gave Charlize Theron a dumber haircut than the last time. They put her in a box right in the rip of the episode and just left her there for the entire fucking movie. The action is stupid. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It clearly has nothing to do with physics. But the writers thought that, hey, if we reference it, then we can we make jokes about it. Then it'll be fine. And it's not fine. It's trash. The people from I enjoyed. I'm one of the few people that enjoyed Tokyo Drift. None of those people in that movie would ever be rocket scientists. I'm so sorry. None.
Especially since it's supposed to take like 5 years after Tokyo Drift, like 7 years. Like no, thank you.
little Bow Wow's packed some weight on, and the redneck boy or whatever,
Lucas Black.
Yeah, no, never trust him with a rocket. No, the movie was stupid. This guy, the main character, claims that he loves family. Everything's about family to the point where it's a joke. And now we just find out that he's got a fucking brother just now.
Family, but I'm not going to attempt my brother because he needs to go away.
Fuck that family. Yeah, it's just it was stupid. Clearly, Vin Diesel's still salty about him and The Rock not getting along, so he's like, "Fuck it, I'll just get a different wrestler." What? That's what he did.
All right, Duke of all nerds, your thoughts? Fast 9.
This movie was batshit crazy. Like, just like when they wrote the script, I told because we all saw this together in the movie theater, all three of us together. That was the most enjoyable experience about the seeing this with you guys, because they must have wrote this screenplay over a weekend after doing Peyote. Nothing in this movie makes sense. Like, none of it makes sense. Vin Diesel, they try to put the heart with Vin Diesel. You know, Vin Diesel cannot act to save his life. He cannot put on any sort of emotion besides gruff, you know, action man. And none of this, it's just this, as Jason put it, it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon made by people who might have had a lobotomy at one point and only are writing with half a brain. It's just like, if you go in there just thinking that it's just going to be the most ridiculous thing in your scene, you're going to have fun, because it's just balls to the wall, like non sequitur craziness. It's like an Aqua Teen Hunger Force TV show made into a movie. Like, there's little to anything connecting this stuff. And John Cena, the best thing for me is John Cena after he robs Edinburgh from Circus and flying on the zip line, and they're cutting through all this like crazy action. Then you get John Cena going on the zip line. It's just so ridiculously bad. It's like, it's gone to the point where I guess they know this is not going to be anything smart. This is not going to be anything worth, like, this is not going to be in the Smithsonian. So let's have as much fun as humanly possible and not tell anybody who's acting in it that that's what we're doing.
They went to space.
That's not how it works. You can't fly a car to space. Like,
all right.
So, yeah, go ahead, Jason.
As I'm going to throw this terrible pun, this is fastly becoming probably the best action franchise of all time, because now they have dropped all pretense. All action movies we watch are all leaps in logic, that the hero never gets shot when 20 million bullets fly at him. This movie decided to be like, hey, you know what? Fuck you guys. We know this is bullshit, and you guys paid to see it, so we're going to give you all the bullshit that you want, and all the bullshit you don't want, we're still going to give it to you plus some. And I fucking loved it after that. Once I realized this movie was going to be just, hey, you know what? Fuck you guys. This is about to be action for the sake of action. All we're doing is just trying to figure out some bullshit reason to get you to the next action set piece. I was here for it at that point. We sat in the movie, and I said, once Roman shot 14 motherfuckers and didn't get a bruise, I said, oh, this what kind of movie we doing? All right, I'm here for it.
Right. They should have shot his ass 40 times.
Right.
And he was like, there's not a scratch on me. And they're like,
yeah, and I love it that, like you said, like that they literally would look at the camera, but you might as well just should have had them look at the camera and go, man, you ever think we're invincible? Because yes, we think that now. We know this now. We know when Vin Diesel jumps out of a fucking sliding truck and does a Superman, there's a superhero pose as he throws a truck into a fighter plane. Yes, this is all bananas bullshit. And you know what? Once I realized that, I stopped giving a fuck. And when I stopped giving a fuck, the movie became light years more enjoyable for me, because I didn't expect any kind of shit. The problem I have is what you all have just mentioned. If you're going to do this, do that. Don't give me Vin Diesel in these solemn scenes with his son, and these solemn scenes with Letty, and these eye-staring matches with John Cena because you're my brother, and I don't need none of that shit. Yeah. Save it. If you're going to do this shit, do that shit. Don't give me, you could have just made a MacGuffin. Hey, super serious spot, insert John Cena. Got something MacGuffin, insert MacGuffin. We got to stop him. We got to figure it out. But this dude is the deadliest villain we've had before. Just go anime style. Seems like every villain in Dragon Ball Z is stronger than the last. Why the fuck did this guy not be around in the beginning of the series? You know why? Because he didn't need to be there. Now he needs to be here to push the hero to be stronger. Pull it on. This is what this movie should have done. Should have just been XYZ is stronger than the last villain and put him on it. How does the fast team stop him now? And we should go. That's the only kind I have is like, Vin, I know, Vin. I know. You want people to think that they are coming here to see you and your acting chops and the family and the Coronas. They're not, Vin. We're not. If I could drink the Corona, yes, I'm coming in for that. But Vin, we're going there to see the stupidity of the fact that you thought that people actually were enjoying this because of the shit you thought we were enjoying it for. No. We're enjoying it for the bombastic action and the ludicrous idea. See what I did at ludicrous? The ludicrous idea that all these niggas from the hood can all of a sudden be very proficient people. You know what? This is really a story about moving out of class systems and how education could change your life. Because all them jokers was sorry sons of bitches in all their individual movies, and now all of a sudden they're super hackers, super fighters, all the shit they are. And you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate them telling us that I too can be somebody if I stole DVD players in my first movie. Shout out to Fast 9 for giving me inspiration to improve my life.
You didn't know all of the interesting thing about this whole entire franchise is like, how do we get from these street racers to these super spies? Like, how do we get from stealing DVD players to basically, your Marvel power is the fact that you can defy physics as long as you're somewhere near a car.
Look, yeah. I watched Fast 5 the other day very briefly, and the one thing The Rock said in there that I've realized for some reason it stuck with me, and now it goes through this whole series. The Rock made a comment in Fast 5. He's like, but whatever we do not let them get in the car. They're pretty much unstoppable once they get in cars. That line is held up better than anything else we've seen in this series.
Why isn't there like a superhero that has that power? Like, as long as I'm near a car, like the laws of physics do not apply to me whatsoever. Like, as long as I'm near a car, I can do anything. I can beat up Superman and make him like my bitch as long as I'm near a car.
Yeah. If you get dropped from a 20-story building, just let me land on a car. I'll be fine. You get throwing something at 60 miles an hour. Hey, so long as I can hit a car, I'll be all right.
Like The Rock said, do not let them get in the car. They're pretty much invincible once they get in the car. And
this 40-ton truck that was flipped upside down, it will go as long as it needs to go for me to do whatever I need to do. If it needs to slide 5,000 miles, it will slide 5,000 miles as long as I still have something to do on that truck.
Facts.
Also, they forgive the brother.
Like, yeah, there was no art to why they forgive him. Other than
they forgave him because he got double crossed by the other bad guy. But even if
they forgave Jason Statham for killing one of them, so
I mean, he was doing that. I don't know why we're trying to find logic in this.
I'm just saying,
yeah.
But it's like if he hadn't been double crossed, he absolutely would have gone through with that evil plan. But he was double crossed. It was like, well, we got to forgive you now. Like what?
Like it was entirely his evil plan. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're getting beat up by your henchmen? Okay, well, and you didn't really mean to kill my dad? Family. Okay, I'm sorry for the last 30 years of being a dick to you.
Yeah.
Like, no, you still should be a dick to him. He's a super murderer, dude.
With that being said, Jaren, would you recommend this movie?
No. That's all. Right. It doesn't deserve any more breath. Just no.
Duke of all nerds.
I am so glad that you paid for this for us. I would not have wasted my money on this shit.
That'd have been real
called tax write-off. I will be the lone one here. I say yes, go. If you are an action junkie, go see the movie. If you are a fan of the series, go see the movie. If you are going to go into this movie thinking that it should be some logic and so coherent ways that this movie works, do not see the movie. You will sit there and you will start getting pissed off and you will become angry and you may leave. I'm warning you now. But if you're not, yes, if you're not that person, I'm 100% saying go see that movie because you'll enjoy it a lot. Let's go ahead and shift gears. We are going to talk about some DC animated offerings we have going on. The first one we're going to talk about here is Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1. Gentlemen, let's go ahead and start with the Duke of all nerds. Duke of all nerds, what did you think of this?
Okay, so this is The Long Halloween, probably one of my more favorite Batman storylines that has existed out there. I wanted to say that this movie kind of, for me, missed the mark of what the graphic novel presented to us. The graphic novel is very much a noir style story. Like Batman is very much a detective in this. There's not a whole lot of action in the story. And like, especially the art direction in the graphic novel is just top notch. Tim Sale did an excellent job. Like there's a lot of deep shadows. A lot of times Batman is just like a dark shape in the panel, and it's just phenomenal. This, I like the fact they kept the timeline like the faux 40-ish, but they try to condense this whole entire like really like I don't want to say complex story into like this hour-long, part one of this movie, and it just didn't work to me. They try to insert action points in it, but like everything else is just way too slow, way too like drawn out for me. And the fact that they did not like take the character designs from the comic book and make it animate it really, really, really turned me off. I love this story though. I love this story. But it's the difference between story and storytelling. And even though the story is great, the storytelling of this movie is not as great. With that said, though, still better than every live action Justice League movie we got.
100% true. 100% true. I'm going to jump in. I mean, I think it was trying to do the detective noir thing with the young Batman to justify some of the follies. I enjoyed this. When I say I enjoyed this in pieces of it. And me and Jaron watched it together, the parts that I stayed awake for, then I ended up rewatching it again when I actually was full of energy this time. But I like the artistic style of the drawings and animation. It kind of gave me, if Batman animated series were updated to today, it made me feel like this is the kind of aesthetic they will probably go for. The problem with it I had that is I felt like the voice acting did not mesh very well with the animation. I felt it was a bit disjointed. Like, I don't know if it was just maybe the line delivery, because let's be real, people don't give enough credit for voice acting of how hard it is and how really hard it is to be great at it. I felt like they just get names that can have interesting voices and put them there and hope it works out. I feel like this didn't work out. I didn't feel that connected to the people that were actually saying this were really these characters. I felt like it was just this guy saying this character's lines. Jensen Ackles, who I love from Supernatural, I don't think he did a terrible job with Bruce and all that. I felt like he did not do the thing that we expect now for people who play and voice Batman. You got to have the different voices for the characters. If his voice for Batman and Batman Behind Closed Doors when Alfred was one way and his voice as Bruce Wayne was another, I think I would have accepted it more, but it was the same voice. So when they revealed that he was Batman to the random dude, I'm like, you guys couldn't catch on because the dude didn't change his voice at all, but whatever. The only other gripe I had with it is that you can't make anybody into a great detective. Like, either you're kind of born with instinctual things that make you good at being a detective, or you're not. So it's a part in the movie where they try to justify his lackluster detective skills by being like, oh, I have to start being a better detective. I have to learn this. Who the fuck are you going to learn from, Sherlock Holmes? Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like,
and this is like the difference between storytelling and the story is in the comic books. Like, he's a great detective. This mystery of who this killer is just so out of his wheelhouse. I mean, like, yeah, he's starting new to this, but he's still like, he figured out who planted the bombs in Harvey Dent's house, fairly quickly. He figured out all these other things, just putting the pieces together because, not to spoiler, but who they think the killer is more so than what we are presented to originally. So, like, it's they in this movie they missed a lot of opportunities to show Batman's intelligence and the way that he does things, and instead of doing that, they inserted a random chase scene where he chases Catwoman down for no reason, or
to make him see. But it was planned in there to show that, hey, he's new at doing this. He isn't great at his job. This is why he can't figure it out. Rather than being like, no, this mystery is just trumping the world's greatest detective. That means this must be serious. Fakes. Nah, it's just like
a reason why he couldn't figure it out. It's not that he's incapable of doing it. There was a reason why he couldn't do it, and that is what's so great about this story.
This is a dumbass young Batman, so fuck off. That's why he can't discover it. And they tried to set up the remember the whole thing who's the fifth suspect, Master Wayne? And he's like, oh, do you don't want to talk? Like, so they tried to do this whole he doesn't really, really want to, but fuck out of here. Like, Batman we know and love wouldn't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, he would have put everybody he thought was on the list, he would have been on the list, and he would have been like,
this is the motherfucker that carries
I'm going to go through all these and figure it out.
Boy Scout in the universe. He carries kryptonite just in case this motherfucker fucks up. He wouldn't anyway. All right, Jan, what's your thoughts on it? Sorry.
No. Yeah, fucking go on, guys. I like the idea that it was a new Batman, or he was new to it. Him like getting into it with Catwoman and him and her like saying, I think your equipment's too heavy initially. And then like him sliding and not being able to stick any of his fucking landings in that chase. I like that. Because I kept going, why the fuck is Batman so retarded? And then he's like, oh, and Jason's like, he's new. He's only like a year or two in. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But apparently that's not the context of the original story. So
I mean, he's still new, but he's good at what he does.
Right. There were some startlingly bad choices on the animation front. At one point, Bruce Wayne touches his ear and talks to Alfred, I think, and it's a frame that is no hand, and then a hand snaps into frame, and then it turns slightly, and it was really, really bad. Also, I'm not a fan of the idea of if you notice, like all the doors and stuff when they moved, they would be a texture that was bigger than the door itself, and they would just draw the edges of the door around it, so the texture would stay exactly where it was, but the door would move, and the texture wouldn't move with the door. It's an artistic choice. It's a stupid choice, and I'm not a fan of it.
The art direction this was terrible. Yeah. Like and I want you to put up one of those things so we can see these side by side, because I'll send you some panels of the comic book and we can see the difference between the show and the comic book and the graphic novel. It's just like, as I said, Tim Sale's art is on another level than what is on screen here. And I'm not a big fan of Jeff Loeb anymore because he said, no one cares about Asian people like 2 years ago when he's writing a show about Asian people. But like his writing in this is so spot on. He captures the tone of the noir. He captures it's so good, but this movie just could not translate that. And that's really the problem for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jaron, finish yours and we'll go to our recommendations.
No, that was it. I just overall, it's also part one, so we didn't get, if you haven't read the graphic novels, you don't know who the bad guy is yet. So, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. They made Harvey unnecessarily like douchey to his wife, and they made his wife unnecessarily like needy, like really fucking Debbie Downer style. Like, you've been gone for 10 minutes. I went and cried in the backyard.
Like that, none of that is in the book, and they made like the Roman and Alberto's relationship really, really contentious. Where in the book, Alberto is just kind of not Alberto, but the Roman's just kind of like dismissive of his son, but he's not abusively dismissive. He's just like, oh, you, I don't want you a part of this because I know you're a good person, rather than I don't want you a part of this because you're a bitch. Like, he's a Harvard grad. He knows what he's doing. Like,
and as soon as Catwoman slipping on Bruce's name when he comes in,
she would never do that.
She would never do that. And also, as soon as he put it together, it's like, oh, this kid's dead. He's so dead. Batman's not going to kill him, but either Catwoman is or an errant bullet. So
which because she said that, I kind of feel like they might be changing the ending of the story a little bit, because people are not supposed to know. And I don't know if anybody. I'm not trying to spoil the outcome of this.
Right.
Calendar Man?
Like, huh?
Calendar Man?
yeah. No, well, Calendar Man knows who the killer is, but in this one, he doesn't seem like he knows. He knows who the killer is, and it's such a very good like Hannibal Lecter sort of like scene between Gordon and Batman and Calendar Man in the graphic novel. But in this, it's just like two hapless dudes like, what do you know? And he's like, I don't know shit.
It's like he doesn't know shit. Well, I guess
like, why do you even come here? Like, I don't know why y'all came here. Like,
I don't know why y'all fucking with me, man. I'm just trying to enjoy this calendar shit. No, but
finishing decorating my cell.
Right. So I'm going to just jump right in. I will recommend it if you're a fan. I feel like I'm doing this a lot where I'm like, if you're a fan of this shit, go ahead and enjoy it. If you're not, fuck off. But this is literally the embodiment. This and Fast 9, the embodiment of, if you fucks with this, go have at it. If you were just going because you want to see a better Batman story than what Snyder gave us and all that, this ain't it for you. Go back and watch Under the Red Hood. Go back and watch Return of the Joker and Batman Beyond. There's so many other movies in the DC animated universe that you can watch over this. If you're just like me, where I'm just a fan of all the DC animated series, go watch it because it's just another one in there. But if you are just trying to pick and choose only the good ones, you can miss this one and not miss a beat on any of this. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna give this one a pass. if you're not just a diehard like me. What about you, Jason number A?
Like The Long Halloween is it's top tier Batman stories. It is top tier, like top. It has to be in the top 10, if not top 5 of greatest Batman stories of all time. I cannot recommend anybody watching this. Like, go to Barnes and Noble, pick up the graphic novel, and read that, and enjoy that, and leave this alone. Like, legitimately, listen to me. Go to the Barnes and Noble, pick up this book, and read it. It is great. I don't care if you like comic books or not. Read it. It is great. Do not watch this movie.
Token Jaren, what do you think? What do you say?
I'll be the dissenting voice in this one. I'm gonna recommend it, but I'm gonna recommend it with a couple caveats. The stuff that really bothered me were kind of nitpicky. I mean, and I haven't read the full trade paperback of the entire story, the graphic novel version. I will say that if you're a huge fan of DC animated stuff, I mean, this one, it's not going to be your favorite, but it's it's going to be better than any Marvel animated shit out there. That's for fucking sure.
Oh yeah, I mean that goes without saying. Marvel animated movies are terrible.
Trash. But
except for Planet Hawk. Planet Hawk's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
it's not great.
So I recommend, if you're a completionist, if you're a fan of just the DC animated kind of verse, yes. Will it be your favorite? No. But it's definitely not the worst they've ever put out by a long shot.
Okay. Well, and then we're just going to stay animated here. We're going to go ahead and jump into Justice Society World War II. I'm going to go ahead and let Jaren start this one off because I know how he feels about speedsters. We've discussed this previously in other shows. So, Jaren, go ahead, have it. Justice Society World War II.
Okay, so I am not familiar with the source material on this. I talked with Alex about it after the fact, and I didn't understand that we start this whole movie in a world that doesn't have a Justice League. It's Flash and Batman Flash and Superman are just
dudes.
Just dudes on their own. Yeah, you kind of like independent contractors. Yeah, and occasionally they have a team up, and that's what that's all it is. The animation was a lot better in this one than it was in Batman: The Long Halloween. You could tell there was more care and love. Some of the design choices on the characters, I don't know if I agree with.
That's when I'm wearing shorts.
Wonder Woman looked kind of goof the whole time. But yeah, speedsters. There's, just like with any movie that involves people that are fast, being a speedster means you're OP if you know what you're doing. And I was counting out in my mind mentally. I was like, oh, they could have solved it here. 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 It would have been so yeah. I mean, if you gotta gimp your speedster, kind of like the same issues that somebody writing Superman has to. They have to come up with an interesting way to make it so that he doesn't just punch his way to the end, and be like, and I'm done. Hooray! That guy's dead, or handcuffed, or whatever. Truth, justice, the American way. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about in the very beginning when Brainiac explodes from behind the Flash, he flinches and gets out of the way of the explosion. Where in reality, if you have that ability, as soon as you feel something or you hear something, you're instantly turn around looking at it, and everything's moving incredibly slow, and you can pick it apart instantly. I mean, before they even have a chance to be like, "Aha!" They're already all their weapons are gone, and they're like, "Right, that's right. I'm dealing with somebody that can move faster than I can see." Brilliant. Okay, so I mean, yeah, it just the way they gimped him when he went into the past or the alternate reality where him and Jay were sharing the Speed Force, kind of hitting the same water fountain at the same time, So they were there was less for everybody. I like that. I thought that was cool. I thought that was an interesting and fun way to do it. And I mean, the ending, it was weird. Apparently, it didn't go like the comic book went because Superman supposedly knew who he was in the comic book, but in this one, his parents were killed, when he was 5 and he went in the orphanage, so he just turned into kind of a selfish piece of shit. So,
I mean, he really wasn't all that selfish. He still was helping out. He just wasn't doing Superman stuff.
He was looking out for his number one.
He was still a part of their crew. He just didn't do Superman shit.
And he grew.
He was there. He was in World War II. Like, do you really? I mean, yeah, he's Superman. He could have ended it in 15 minutes, but still.
Yeah. John Waters.
I also feel it's kind of weird to have like superpowered individuals like fight for the U.S. government, even though it's against the Nazis, and that's like the one time you want them to fight against. Like, I feel like that's kind of icky to me that they're a part of the army or whatever. But
you're not a fan. You're not a fan of the Sokovia Accords?
No.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, nitpicky stuff. Animation was better. Story was fun. Kind of predictable, a little paint by numbers. Superman doesn't want to deal with the fact that he's Superman and fucks off for a while, and everybody fights until they almost die, and some do, and then Superman comes back, and fixes everything. So, I was like, okay.
All right. I put another Flash-centric story that I thought was pretty dope, was my original thought on there. So, to run through my things, let's start off with my pros, because, I like to lead with love.
You do a shit sandwich.
Same thing Jared said. Same thing Jared said. I mean, figuring out a way to nerf the speedster. Great idea with that, with the whole Speed Force and all that. Yes, we get the multiverse shenanigans. Once it was like, oh, this is not in the past. This is a different universe. I thought, okay, good, because now you can do whatever weird, funky shit you want to do now and not have to figure out how this links to the future that we saw at the beginning of the movie. So I thought that was a very key thing, because it put me at ease now to go, all right, I don't need to look for signs of things. I can just enjoy. Yeah, I can enjoy what the hell's going on. Shout out and respect to Aquaman. This is probably the first time they let Aquaman fucking be the badass that Aquaman is. Like, I know Aquaman gets a lot of heat. He gets a ton of heat because we only talk about the comic book trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Aquaman is on equal level with those guys, but because we have shitted on him from Super Friends and Robot Chicken and everything, people forget that this dude is sitting in the deepest depths of water under all this pressure. Yes, he's super strong. Yes, he's super speed. He is a king. He's been trained. Like they nerfed the fuck out of him and everything else.
He can go toe to toe with Superman on any given day.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
He will lose, but he will put Superman through his paces, though.
I don't know. Right. You drop him and Superman in the middle of the Gobi Desert.
Well, yeah, he's gonna get fucked up. I mean, like, yeah, but still, he's still on the god level of power.
Yeah. I want to say, like, it's Superman. Let's slow down here. But yes,
put him in space. He's not going to be useful, but still,
right. The cons I have on this one is I didn't like the whole Aquaman being the villain thing initially. I think it was a jarring flip for what the movie was selling us at first. I enjoyed what the movie was selling us because I like, this superhero team that stays under wraps, that does this horror stuff. I was all in, and it was like, hey, I think the writers were like, hey, guys, we need somebody to really let them flex their muscles on. Who could we get? Aquaman. Yeah, Aquaman's good. Yeah. Let him be brainwashed by somebody working with the Fuhrer. Perfect. Throw it in there. It just felt kind of jarring that it happened that way because, anyway. The Superman reveal, it pissed me off, and because everybody, as Jared knows, I'm a huge Superman fan. That's why I wore the shirt today for it. And I hated it because it is pretty much...
There it is.
It was Zack Snyder's Superman coming to the fruition of what Zack Snyder probably wanted for Superman all along. A fucking dude that's like, that's y'all problem, man. And it's like, oh, shit. Yeah. Oh, shit. I guess
Dan Rand says that I should be objectively looking out for myself.
Right. Then it was like, oh, shit. I guess it could be our problem. Let me go and fight these people. Like, stop it. Stop it. Again, I know it's multiverse, so I get it has to be a different Superman, but Jesus Christ, guys, stop trying to write Superman as this angsty, I don't know what I should do guy. Either let him go straight villain or let him straight be a hero. We don't need no in-between. Anybody that's powerful, either you're going to have great morals to control their power or they're going to have no morals for it. Nobody that powerful is like, you know what? I'm sitting on this nuke, but maybe I should. Maybe not. Yeah, it's either.
I know I'm not going to get hurt in this any way whatsoever, but I'm going to sit this one out.
Right. It's not a fence. Nobody that strong is a fence rider. Nobody. All through history, no one that strong is a fence rider. So I hate that they try to make him a fence rider. Like, stop it. Either just make him just be like, I'm an arrogant prick that doesn't give a shit about any of this, and I don't want to be a part of it. Fine, multiverse, let them walk along. But I hate that. I hate the way they do Superman in these movies because it's like, I need them to appeal to the youth because the youth love anti-heroes. Thank you, Wolverine. Thank you, Deadpool. Like, ever since this anti-hero shit in the 90s, they've tried to make Superman this angsty kind of, fuck that, man. Like, either he's really, really good or make him just an asshole altogether and let him walk along. Don't do this to me. All right, other than that, I mean, I enjoyed the film, man. I do, like I said, I think Wonder Woman looked crazy, and we talked about that. I feel like they were trying to design her closer to Gal Gadot with the kind of straighter head. I was like, they should have went Linda Carter for this one. I'm saying, I think, yeah, Linda Carter, like the old Wonder Woman. I think that would have been a better aesthetic because it does have a classicer look and feel. I mean, those shorts were kind of whack, but whatever. It's a cartoon. Right. All right, Duke of all nerds. What are your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed this. I at first I didn't like it because, as I told you guys, I only watched half of it and then I couldn't continue. But I went back and watched the whole thing today, and I enjoyed this. Particularly, I think that most of the characters had like some reason for being there. I feel like they utilized their different power sets very, very effectively. And because a lot of, especially in the live action movies, it's pretty much everybody is, I'm strong, let's punch this, rather than let's utilize our different talents to different things. Especially like when they were like with Our Man and Jay Garrick the Flash, they're like, you guys are smart. Why make this make sense to me, who isn't like a scientist? Like, use your other skills besides the fact that you're fast and you're super strong. I particularly liked
only for an hour. Only for an hour.
Yeah, which is like the dumbest, most 1940s thing ever.
Every time we see that guy, it's that hour. Apparently,
it's like use it at the last possible minute, Hour Man. All right. I particularly liked the characterization of Wonder Woman in this, even though like her design was kind of off. I think that Wonder Woman had more personality to her than Gal Gadot has ever shown in her life. Like, she was forceful, she was strong, she was leader, she was decisive, she was great. She was great. Like, and I also liked her dynamic with Steve Trevor. Like, she's like, oh no, let's just put this off. He's like, and he's always kind of like teasing her with the proposal of marriage, and it's like, I thought that was pretty cool. The action in this, it was very weighty, very meaty, very punchy. Like the animation for this was very like, it felt like, you know, she was messing people up, or when the Flash like super punched people, it felt like it was like fucking dudes up. So without like having like the necessary like blood and gore that you would normally get with that stuff. So I really enjoyed like the action and the characterization of all these characters. Yeah, other than the fact the whole entire story didn't really make a whole lot of sense and was really much you know, like none of this really mattered. It was I enjoyed it. Like at the end, it's like Flash just goes back home, like, well, fuck whatever they're doing over there. I'm gonna marry my girlfriend. This is great.
Takes his freshly stolen jewelry and
like I got this written from a dead man. So, but I mean, like this is more fun than the last Halloween. It shows, you know, a few characters that normally don't get a lot of spotlight. I love the fact that they made Hawkman actually Egyptian rather than a white man pretending to be Egyptian, which is great. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fun.
All right, Jaron, would you recommend this?
Yeah. It had, like I said, the stuff I was like brought up again, much like Batman, was kind of nitpicky. There is consequences to the actions. People die in this. Again, you know, even though it's an alternate reality, that you know, it's their reality to them at least. So, despite some of the fall down moments that the writers had, it's animated well. It was voice acted well. There were some interesting parts to it. I recommend it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's a full recommendation for me. I think this was good. I thought it was great. Again, not on a higher list of what they've done, but like this will fall right in the middle of the pack. If it were to come on around or I would see it, I would be like, hey, have you seen this? And people were like, no. I'm like, oh, we got to watch this. I would put it on. So I think it's just fun. It's just a fun movie to watch and enjoy. What about you, the Duke?
Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's fun to watch. You know, you should watch it. It's a good DC, you know, solid DC hit. And I wish that, you know, the executives at Warner Brothers or at Discovery Time One or whatever it is now can watch one of these movies and goes, hey, we should just do this, but with like real people. Like, just, you know what, just take the script and just give it to like someone who likes this stuff and just put real people in it rather than having all these dictations and things like that they need. Like, oh, this got to sell toys and it's got to make $1 billion and we got to get our dick sucks after this. No, like a solid movie like this with solid. Well, the dick suck thing is maybe but with solid characterization, with characters that actually like have a reason for being, like, just do that, please, just do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch this one; it's good.
Well, jumping on that, because next the Geek Discussion is we're going to have right now, and we're going to have last week, but what fitting week to have it on, the week that Fast 9 dropped. Does story matter? Does story matter in movies? And this is probably the best discussion we're going to have because I have two writers on here. Yeah, I dabbled in journalism here and there, but like Jaron, he's attempting to write scripts for things he wants to create. We always talked about the Duke of Nerds already. He's been putting together a book, a fantasy novel. So for these guys, this is right in their wheelhouse. So to start this off, I'm going to start off with the most ignorant opinion, which is my own, and then we'll spread the wealth with all the intelligence that's on this panel today. For me, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm so distraught by the movie going public that I've gotten to the resolution that like story doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. What matters now is if you can have people follow along. And if that requires a story to do so, great. If it doesn't, great too. Because some people, they don't care about the things that they don't get. They don't. And I'm not one of those guys talking like, oh, well, look all these plot holes in this movie. Every movie pretty much has plot holes. But if you put together a movie that you construct with a beginning, like middle and end, and with a climax and like the archetype of story writing you're taught in school. When you're first taught in school about how to write a story, they break it down for you. I feel like that doesn't even matter anymore. Now, most movies, you open up with a big set piece to pull you in. You do, at that point, introduce your characters, whether if you give them good characterization or not. And then you just do some explanation dump somewhere in there. And then you just try to get to the next action set piece before people actually really have to think about the shit you told them. And then usually a lot of those rules break down slowly as you go through the climax and you finish off the movie. And like I said, we're living in an era now where you don't even have to finish complete movies anymore. You can just stop it and go, hey, we answered one question or we beat the bad guy. Tune in next week. And by next week, we mean next year we make a sequel of this. Oh, we didn't make enough money. We're not going to make a sequel. Gosh darn it. I guess we'll never know how that ends. So at the end of the day, like, story doesn't really matter anymore. All it is can your movie put butts in seats? And if it can put butts in seats, we'll justify all the bullshit. I mean, we watched how many Michael Bay Transformer movies that got worse and worse and worse and worse, and they made a bunch of money. And when I ask people, like, how do you watch this trash? They go, it's not trash. It's fun. It's like Transformers, my childhood. It gave me every reason except for it has nothing to do with story, because you know what? The story doesn't fucking matter. Just make some shit up for people to want to say, yeah, in a movie theater, even when it's like the worst shit ever, and then go forward from there. So for me, I'm like, I wish it mattered more because I love great stories. All my movies that I enjoy the most have great stories, but it doesn't matter now. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Zack Snyder has a career. Michael Bay has a career. We go down the list of guys that have careers that story's never been their strong point ever, and they've made a career out of it. So story doesn't matter. Let's throw it on to you, Jaron. Your thoughts on story mattering now?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, any writing class that you go to, or any anything that where you actually kind of get some sort of actual instruction on writing, you're going to be introduced to the hero's journey and a 3-act play, and most of these movies follow that to an extent. But the hero's journey is something that's the first thing to go. Oftentimes, a lot of the movies you're talking about and stuff, there is no progress. There is no growth for the main protagonist, much like my issue with Moana. She was a badass frame 1, and she was the same badass at the last frame. There was no
great songs.
Yeah, no, yeah. She talked to her.
Hey, Jaron, this ain't the month to put our sisters down. Don't put our sisters down this month. Wait till July with that commentary.
Her Grand Mufasa that she chatted with in the ocean. I don't know. Was the ocean trying to kill her, or did it just protect the one with the stone? A lot of issues. Another aspect of it, and I think this is a bigger thing, is that people. So the middle grade movie has disappeared. You either have nowadays, you either have an indie movie, which is made on absolutely no budget, which is where you're going to get a lot of your creative writing decisions and something interesting. And then you have the blockbuster tentpole franchise movies, which are forced to resign themselves to a very kind of cookie cutter like routine where you really don't end up with much. There's not a lot of creative writing choices. The most that you could say is that somebody is doing a treatment on it that makes it funnier and snappier and wittier. That's the best you're going to get. There's not going to be like a new idea, essentially. Back in the day, we used to have the studios would make movies like that they were just like, it's a weird one-off movie thing, that movie Multiplicity, shit like that, where they're just like, I don't know, let's just get dude in here and then make a bunch of them and see what happens, I guess the closest thing you get, the closest thing you get to that nowadays is probably a rom-com, but even those are almost going the way of the dodo. They're not near as prevalent as they were definitely in the 90s and the aughts.
Because they're super toxic.
Yeah.
Super toxic, man.
Looking back on some of them, you're like, you're a bit of a rapist, aren't you? Oh, my friend. But yeah, so does story matter? Absolutely. Do we have a watered down version of story? Yes, we do. I think the best, and people will argue this, I think the MCU is one of the best mechanisms for storytelling right now. It's actively making money. It's very popular amongst people that voted for Trump, and then also intelligent people too.
Damn, it was our audience.
I'm not gonna watch that damn near nerd shit. I like the name, but fuck them.
And then, but it also they occasionally get to do some creative stuff with the writing. Granted, they're following formulaic, not formulaic, but it's already been done in comic books many years prior. But I don't know. I enjoy it when they deviate from the subject matter and kind of throw a curveball at us. And every time they've done that, they've done it in service of the movies. But they've also I don't know. I've enjoyed it and it made sense. But yeah, outside of indie flicks, you're not going to see original writings anymore. So it sucks. I miss the middle movies. I think those were, they didn't have to be summer blockbusters. The movies used to come out year round, and there were good movies that came out in the fall, so, and they weren't all just Halloween oriented.
Right.
So
that's a good take. I didn't think about the middle movie. That's a really good take there. Duke of all nerds, your thoughts? The story matter.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to say, and this is going to sound bad, but I'm going to say that story has never mattered. I feel that storytelling is what matters. If you are a good storyteller, it doesn't matter what the story is. If you tell that story in a good way, in a great way, the story itself does not matter. It's the storytelling that matters. And I feel like in this day and age, we are getting away from good storytellers. Because if you think about it, and that's not really if you think about it, but pretty much, especially if you go to any sort of creative writing class, the first thing your teacher's going to tell you is like, every story that's ever been made, it's already been written. That's the kind of thing. And that's, it's somewhat true, but it's somewhat not true. But it's not about the story itself. It's about how you can tell that story, how you can bring a unique perspective to that story that makes it in an interesting way. Or you can just have interesting characters or interesting settings or interesting, just any sort of bit of thing that can make it interesting to your audience. But the story itself, think about it. Like Avatar, that story has been told 50 million times.
Yeah, Pocahontas.
In 50 million different ways and 50 million different levels of awesomeness. That story is not a bad story. Avatar is not a bad story. It's just a story we've heard a lot of times, and it was told from the same perspective that we've told it many times, right? So it's mind-boggling. It's not really mind-boggling. They did some really great, effects in that movie, but it's mind-boggling how that movie became one of the highest grossing movies of all time because that story, it's not even told in a very compelling way. So it's not the story itself that really matters. It's just how you're able to tell it. And, going back to Fast 9, that story was ridiculous, but they told it in a very, to me, a fun way. Even though I would never recommend watching that movie, it was still like they were having fun telling the story, and they told it in a fun way. Did they have any good perspective or good interesting takes on it? No, but they tried to have fun in telling the story. So for me, it's like it's never about the story itself. The story, we pretty much have a plan set for pretty much every single story that could ever be told. Like it's pretty much, you're not going to be surprised. I mean, like occasionally you might be surprised. They might tell like a different ending or tell it from a different perspective, but like pretty much the story itself, the meat and potatoes of it has been told before, has already been, in many different other tellings of it. It's just how you tell it that makes it whether or not it can be unique or rise above the rest. And one of the things good about Marvel is they do tell their stories in a very interesting and marketable, I wouldn't say unique, but marketable way, right? Mm-hmm. They tell the stories that get people's seats, and like the storylines themselves are coherent, but their storylines aren't anything, revolutionary. Rich guy gets set back and has to overcome his demons. That's 9 out of 10 of Marvel movies. Or mostly white man has to overcome something and to get to something else. Right? That's literally every single story. Like, especially because we come from this European tradition of storytelling. Right? So like pretty much every single story, white dude has to overcome some obstacle to gain a better understanding of himself or to save white girl, basically. So I mean, it's that story. You can do a lot with that. You can do a lot with that, and we've had it from King Arthur to Beowulf to Iron Man to Superman. And it's all the same story. It's just told in different ways. So to me, the story has never mattered. It is there's only really one story: is a human overcoming some obstacle or some other variation of that. I mean, I guess there's like 3 different types. It's like man versus himself, man versus an external force, or something like that. But there's
man versus really
nature, 5 or 10 variations of that. Yeah, and it's just how you tell it that makes it whether it's unique or not. So that's my 2 cents on that. Is that the story never mattered. It's the storytelling. It's the perspective. It's the characters. That's what matters. And if you can tell a story that's completely batshit crazy but make it entertaining for people, great. Tell it in a great. Michael Bay, his stories never make a damn sense, but he tells it in an entertaining way.
It's pretty.
He puts a lot of explosions in it. He knows what we want. We want boobs, explosions, and beer. Right?
In the military.
To put on there. Zack Snyder, he couldn't write a good character to save his life, but he knows how to do fucking slow motion fight scenes. Right?
He knows where the tone button is, and
so he can tell that story. I might not personally like the way he tells the story, but he tells it in his unique way, right? And that makes it $1 million. He's in there in a nice mansion in Hollywood while I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Beaufort. Okay, so it's all about the storytelling. It's never been about the story.
Well, I think the way you put that is so nice that we shouldn't even have a rebuttal on it. I think we need to end the show on that because I feel like that's just a very, very poetic take on it. Yeah. Hopefully everybody enjoyed this episode because we enjoyed making it. We really enjoyed hanging out with each other on Friday, watching Fast 9. That was cool. I mean, we pretty much were, we were out there till like almost pretty much 1 a.m. talking about everything from restaurants to movies to arrests to everything you could imagine under the sun. We talked about. So I really, really do genuinely love doing this every single Sunday. And I shouldn't probably say the date because we're recording. But anyway, every single time we do this, I do genuinely enjoy it. Hopefully, people who listen genuinely enjoy the commentary and our opinions and our thought processes. Guys, again, like, share, subscribe, but please try to. I think the lowest thing we're really in is engagement, man. We want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your opinions, your thoughts, but also you may want us to talk about some other topics. You may want us to review some other movies that you've seen because you like our perspective on things. Whatever it is, comment, let us know how you feel and think about it. I'm sure I come up with a lot of jackass takes, so I'm all here for it. I'm here for the smoke. I'm good for it. And like I mentioned before, we always say, we are very welcome to let you come onto the show and tell us that we're jackasses and our takes are bad, and we can have it out here, recorded for everybody to enjoy. So everybody, please remember to do that for us because we really will enjoy the engagement, and we love arguing amongst ourselves. Don't get us wrong, but we love to argue with someone else and show them how wrong they really are. So
you're wrong,
right? As always, us signing off. Token Jern. See you next week, I guess. Well, I'll probably see you all during the week. I mean, shit.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you. Seriously.
All right, Duke of all nerds, Jason number 8. Another good show in the bucket. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, as I say, be kind. Tip your servers, tip your bartenders.
And yes, Corny J, we're getting out of here. We will see you all next week for the N-Word for Nerd podcast. Thank you all for listening.